Hey everyone, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. I wanted to do an important update with you with regards to internet sales tax and eBay. This is a topic I have been monitoring closely over the course of this year, and it's one I've done a few prior videos on. You may or may not have seen them, but whenever an important update comes in, I promised that I would let you know about it, and so this is one of those updates. Now, I'm mindful that there are always people who are brand new to this channel, brand new to this topic, and brand new to reselling. So let me give you a little refresher on the topic before I go into the update. The way things have always been is that if somebody makes a purchase from you on eBay within the same state that you have your inventory physically located, you are responsible for collecting state sales tax and then sending it into the state at the end of each quarter. That's true whether or not your sale is $1, $5, $10, $1,000, doesn't matter. You are responsible for collecting that tax. Now, I would not advise trying to avoid collecting it and sending it in, because eventually you could get caught if you're ever audited. It's very easy to set up. You just register with your state. You will receive a certificate from your state's Department of Taxation and Finance, or whatever they call it in your particular state. That's what they call it in New York. And the advantage of doing it, by the way, is that you also get to basically deduct taxes from purchases within your state for something you plan to resell. So if you go into a thrift store, or if you make a purchase at an estate sale, you do not have to pay taxes. You just hand that number over and you're good to go. So as an example, for the state of New York, if someone purchases something from me from anywhere in this state, I do have to collect that sales tax and send it off. I just save that money to the side. I make a note of any purchases that are made in the state of New York in an Excel spreadsheet that I use, and then it's very simple for me to just add it up at the end of each quarter and send it in. You want to make sure you notify your potential buyers that you will be collecting sales tax. It does automatically come up in the estimation of fees, but I like to put it in the description section in bold so that there's no surprises, because trust me, not everyone sees it unless you put it in the description section. Then you don't want to deal with somebody who says afterwards, oh, I didn't realize I had to pay sales tax, and then cancel the purchase. So that's why I started putting the description section, so you don't have to run into that problem, and I haven't since I've done that. But I used to have that problem before I put it in the description section, and it just showed up as an automatic fee, because not everyone paid attention to that. Now, the way things also used to go is that if somebody purchased something from me or you in a state that's outside where you have your inventory physically located, you were not responsible for collecting sales tax and sending it to that state. So as an example, for me living in New York, if somebody purchased something from me from any state, it could be the state of Washington, very far away, or it could be a neighboring state like Pennsylvania, I'm not responsible for collecting that state sales tax. Now, this is something that states really started to get upset about, because once internet sales purchases started going through the roof, particularly with Amazon, but also eBay play a role in that as well as other companies going online and selling, states were losing a lot of money. And so they eventually started to object to this, and this went its way through the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ultimately decided that basically the precedent that they used to support the prior model of how to collect state sales tax was outdated because of e-commerce. And so as a result, states are now allowed to collect sales tax for anything that is coming into their state, regardless of if whether or not it originated outside of the state. So now, if somebody lives in the state of Pennsylvania, makes a purchase from me, Pennsylvania wants that money in terms of sales tax. Now, the reason why people on eBay were up in arms about this, including myself, is that depending on how this was interpreted and implemented, it really could have crushed eBay sellers and internet sellers. The reason why is because while it's simple for me to register for the state of New York and collect sales tax for that one state and send it off at the end of each quarter, it would have been a nightmare for me or any other seller to have registered for every state or almost all states and to send in the money at the end of each quarter to every state, and also to be responsible for collecting it and organizing it and managing it in separate spreadsheets. It would have cost an absolute enormous amount of time, and that translates into an enormous amount of money lost because you're wasting time doing this as opposed to other things related to your business. So if that would have been the solution, that it was just left in our hands, that really would not have been good, and it really would have crushed eBay. Now, another potential option in terms of how this was going to get solved was that maybe a third-party vendor would come in and you would have to pay that third-party vendor a fee, and they would manage this all for you. So maybe you have to pay $100 a year, $200 a year. That would have been a much better option than the first option I mentioned, but still it wouldn't be ideal because now you're losing $100, $200 a year, whatever the case may be, in this third-party software that you now have to use to collect state sales tax for other states. So what I have said previously is that really the best way that this could be solved, and the way I was thinking and hoping that this would be solved, is that eBay, being the massive company that it is, would be able to manage this themselves, and that they would be able to go in, they would collect the state sales tax, and they would send it to the state. And it turns out that that is exactly what they are doing. Thank goodness. eBay does get a lot of justified flack for a bunch of their technical glitches as one example, but this is one where they did it right from the outset. And I'm going to show you the email that came through. It says upcoming changes in how internet sales tax may apply to your eBay business. Now, eBay's still objecting to this, but it's a Supreme Court decision, and I don't think anything's going to change about it. I think this is just the way it's going to be going forwards. And this is a process that's going to evolve over time, but as you can see here, this means for eBay sellers, that some states have extended the tax collection obligation to marketplaces such as eBay, is that regardless of where you're physically located, this is what we just talked about, if you sell to buyers in certain states, right now it's certain states, those states may require you to collect applicable sales taxes on your transactions. So therefore, based on these new laws, we, eBay, will calculate, collect, and remit sales tax for orders shipped to customers in the following states on the following schedule: Washington, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma. All of these states, starting next year, there will be sales tax included that will be collected by eBay and will be sent out to those states. That's just how things are going to be going forwards. And there will be new states added to this list. You could guarantee that over time. Eventually, it's probably going to be every state except the ones that don't have state sales tax collection laws. There's no way to opt out of this. This is the new rule going forwards. It's just the way it's going to be. You're going to have to factor that into your pricing. The good news is it's not just that it applies selectively to you, it applies to everybody across the board. So once again, good news in the sense that, if that was going to be what the decision is, thankfully we are not responsible for having to think at all about collecting that state sales tax. eBay will take care of all of it for you. So that's the update. If you have any questions on it, feel free to let me know down below. Overall, I do think it is good news given what the Supreme Court decision was. But again, any questions, any comments, feel free to let me know. I will link to my prior videos on this topic if you want additional background on how this all came to be. I have a whole video dedicated to the history of this entire problem. So check that out if you want to see that. I go through the Supreme Court laws and the exact specific case that led to the challenge. So you might find that interesting just as background. So I'll put that down below in the description section. I am 11 subscribers away from 1,000. So I would really appreciate it if there are people out there who are enjoying this content. I'm getting a lot of comments. Thank you to so many people who are telling me they love the content of this channel. If you love the content and you haven't subscribed, please do so, because it does help out the channel in terms of helping establish its credibility. There's a certain credibility to a channel that goes over 1,000 subscribers compared to below 1,000. So that's one reason that number is important to me. Also, I do get to monetize the channel once it gets to 1,000, so that will also help me support the channel going forwards, because it does take a lot of time, and I don't charge anybody anything for anything related to this channel. So however, if you go to my description section, you will see a bunch of affiliate links that I have for products that I use and have discussed in some of my other videos. So if you click on any of those links and make a purchase, that does help support the channel. Even if you even if you wind up purchasing something that has absolutely nothing to do with reselling, if you click on the link and purchase something after that, that does help out in terms of supporting the channel. If you want other tips regarding reselling, make sure you come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link to that is also down below in the description section. Just hit the link and click join, and that will send me a request, and I will let you in if everything looks okay with your profile. So that's about it. I hope you all have a great weekend, or whenever you're watching this, that you have a great week, and I will see you all at the next video. Thanks, everybody.